All right, everybody, we're back with another episode of the Spoold Media Podcast. This is going to be episode number 2, and we're featuring somebody tonight that I finally got to meet this year. I've kind of followed them over the past as they've been in a lot of street racing DVDs that I used to watch and different things. They've been a tear in the Little Gangster series out in Texas, and they came out and showed some big tower guys what's up earlier this year in North Carolina. So, y'all might have heard him by the nickname Student Driver. His name's Michael Hollis, better known as Mikey. And we're going to get some information about how his racing career, daily life, all that good stuff here in the podcast. So let me go ahead and bring Mikey in. What's going
What's
on,
up,
buddy?
man? How are you?
I'm here hanging out, man.
Living the dream
Living the
over there?
dream.
Hell yeah, I like it.
Yeah, man. So welcome to the Spoold Media Podcast. If you want to, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on. I'm Michael Hollis, also known as Student Driver. Come from Fort Worth, Texas. Pretty much been here my whole life, and like Corey said, finally got a chance to come race one of his races this year over at Shady Side, and had a great time. And honestly, can't wait to come back.
Awesome. Like I said in the intro, the way I first learned about you was so back in my college days, 1320 Video releases these DVDs called Cash Days.
Yeah.
And you start watching them and you see this young kid just in a Nova. Like, wait a minute, what? And that's the first time I seen the name Bob, Student Driver. And I'm like, this dude's got to have a crazy story, at least how he got that nickname. So explain to everybody how you got the nickname Student Driver, and we'll dive a little deeper into the old school street racing started off with too.
Man, so honestly, I got the name Student Driver from Barrett. Believe it or not, I met
Uh-oh.
Barrett when I was probably 17 or 18 years old, and I'm sure you know DFWSS.org. You know
Yes.
the old forum that Limpy used to run, and
I have my little account on there. I go and just check in and see
oh man,
stuff.
it was the best back in the day. And I met Barrett through there, and we actually lived really close to each other, and just really hit it off right off the bat, you know. And we were going to a cash days one night, and he thought it would be funny to make a sticker and put on the back window of my car that said Student Driver. Because like you said, I was really young back then. I was 17 or 18 years old, you know. And man, he put this. We literally left the sticker on there for one night, and it just stuck, and kind of been that, you know, ever since. So a lot of people give me shit now. They're like, man, you're getting old. Like, you need to, you know, change it to something. But I'm like, man, that's just what everybody knows me as. It's just a nickname, you know, so I'll keep it.
Hey, once you get hit with those nicknames and it was on the forums, I mean, that's it. You're it for life, no matter
Yeah,
what.
exactly. It's like, man, I can't change it. You know, like if something else came along that like kind of made sense and it stuck, I mean, you know, I would be fine with it, but that hadn't happened yet. So until then, Student Driver.
It's probably going to soon, if you keep it up, it's going to be Little Gangster Champion.
And I don't know, after last weekend, I wasn't driving so good, but I would be okay with that.
So, well, we'll dive into like the old school days first. And we'll start talking about that. The street racing, the Texas days. I mean, looking at that then compared to street racing now, it's crazy to think where you guys started and now where it is. And I mean, and I know you may not want to say it, but it's old times. Maybe you do. Street racing then, what was your combo setup on the car then? Just
Man, so when I first started racing with all those guys, my Nova was full stock suspension, still had leaf springs. And when I first started, it had like a 468 big block. And eventually I put a 482 big block in it. Real simple, had a power glide, you know, 10 bolt, cow tracks, like nothing special, you know. And it wasn't fast. Like it would run 6.0s back then. And I could drive it anywhere, but man, I used to read Yellow Bullet, you know, and I would read all these Yellow Bullet threads about leaf springs and how to make them work and this and that, and I did a bunch of stuff, and in the car worked pretty good, you know, so it was fast for what it was, and I ran it for like a year or two, and my dad was kind of anti street racing back then at first, you know. Just as any parent would be, you know, like young kid over here, like don't do anything stupid. And I actually talked him into coming out with me one night, and he came out and watched at you know, just like a regular Saturday night deal that Limpy had. And man, my dad was hooked. And so he started going with me to the street races and went to a couple cash days, and this is about the time where everybody was kind of making the transition from small tires to big tires. And I didn't really want to cut my car up, thank God I didn't. And my dad had a big tire 69 Camaro, like old bracket car, had never been
Yeah.
faster than, 640s. And my dad was like, "Hey, let's team up and just go race my car. It's already big tire." And so one winter, we spent all winter, built a 522 cubic inch motor for it, put nitrous on it. The car never had nitrous, and changed some suspension stuff around, and literally got it running on a Thursday night. And there was a cash days on Friday and Saturday, and I think that was in 2008. And we took it to that race, and like I said, we had never street raced the car, never took it to the track, went straight to the street, and ended up making it to the finals against Boosted. So
Oh,
that was man, that was kind of how we paved our way. Like that race there probably got some attention of a lot of people. And what was funny, like I said, we didn't tell anybody. And we showed up. We showed up at the meet spot, and the meet spot was in an old like industrial complex that Olympia used to have a shop in, and it was real dark. Buildings everywhere, and we actually parked like over kind of at the edge of the parking lot, had the car in an open trailer, and nobody even knew what we brought. And we show up for first round at Forum Way, which I'm sure you've heard of that place, like very
mhm.
iconic street race spot in Fort Worth. And man, we showed up there for first round, and I roll up to the start line in this big tire 69 Camaro, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is that? Who's this?"
Where'd the
So
small tires
man,
go?
yeah, exactly. And it's like, man, that's honestly that was a night I'll never forget. Like that was pretty awesome.
I can honestly say I've only been to Texas one time in my life, and we didn't street race. We tested on the street, and I learned really quickly Texas roads are everybody else's dragways. So
Yeah,
it still
no,
blows my mind that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
man, Texas. I mean, say what you want. Texas has some of the best streets anywhere, and
Oh,
I don't
hands
I don't
down.
street race as much anymore. Like every now and then, once or twice a year, I'll go out and do something. But like following Joey, like I think he made his fastest pass at one of our roads, and that dude races everywhere, So yeah,
Mhm.
Texas is we're blessed to have some really badass spots for sure.
When we unloaded Houston's car to make that hit, and right off the bat, we're in the middle of Dallas, Texas. Like buildings
Right.
are all around. I'm like, this is not normal. We're looking for a
Oh
place
yeah.
that's usually out of the middle of nowhere. Now we're in the middle of town
Oh
doing
yeah.
this, and dude, just seeing the marks on it, I was like, holy shit, this is better than most dragways
Oh
we go
yeah. No,
to.
it's wild,
Hook and
man.
win.
Like no, it's crazy, and that's kind of the thing, like over the years, and I see that in different cities, like just like LA, like as the cities get bigger, the racetracks get less and less, and
Hmm.
it kind of makes street racing, thrive, so we're lucky in Dallas Fort Worth, we still got a lot of racetracks, but man, like like when COVID kind of shut all the tracks around here down for a little while, and
Yeah.
that's when I bought my S10 because bro, I hadn't been to the street races in 2 or 3 years, and COVID shut the tracks down for like a month, and we're all going nuts. And bro, I went to the street races one night, and I was like, it relit that fire in me. I was like, man,
Mm.
I'm buying something that I can drive around in street race.
And that's the thing, like COVID hit around here, we were like, they had it to where only 3 or 4 cars could go to the track and just do a test and tune or something. Well, shit, we went out in the streets and we were doing
Right?
street racing, and then the
Oh
cops
yeah.
rolled up on us, and I was like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah. No, it got wild around here for a while for sure.
And so I can't remember. Did you do any of the cross state? Because I know Oklahoma and Texas on those cash days, they always had the rivalry. And did you
Oh
make the
yeah.
trip up to? I can't remember if you did or didn't. It's been a while
Yeah,
since I've
we
actually
went
watched
to
the DVDs.
man, we went to Oklahoma several times. I remember taking my car up there one night. Actually, I think that was we took my car. They had a cash days in like November, and we took my car, and it didn't get finished for whatever reason. I think went 2 or 3 rounds, and just cops showed up everywhere we went, and
Mm.
uh, outrun a couple people. I don't remember if I was still in or if I went out in the round before the split or whatever, but we did that. And then I remember we they used to have a legal street race up in Elk City, Oklahoma,
Hmm.
and we took my dad's car up there for that one year, and man, the mayor, like there was a new mayor or something that come in the town, and they only let us run like 580 foot or something like that. And they just kept giving us shit, and wouldn't let nobody race, and just we're being kind of pricks, and we all got together and we said, man, we're going to drive to Oklahoma City tonight, which was like 2 hours away. And we're going to do a cash days in Oklahoma City. And me and my dad were all for that. We canceled hotel reservations. It's like, let's hit the road, and we went over there and I raced, I raced two or three people. I don't remember exactly who, but I remember Doc put me out. That was when Doc just redid the back half on the Monte Carlo, and he had it working really, really good. And we kind of didn't have our shit together that weekend, but yeah, man, we used to go up there all the time.
Now, who had the better roads, Oklahoma or Texas?
Man, I think Texas for sure. Like all the stuff in Oklahoma, it's funny because my dad's kind of an old grumpy guy, so he always had like a conspiracy theory, like, man, they're not taking us for their good roads, And I remember we ran some road up there and it was only like 900-foot shutdown,
Oh.
uh, and then I remember the year I took my Nova, we were racing on a service road, and then that got busted up, and we ended up going like across the highway and raced some road parallel to the service road, like that didn't have no rubber on it. Looked like nobody had ever raced there before. So I don't know if I've ever been to a really good road in Oklahoma, because it does seem like, I don't know if they're just not there or if they don't take us to them, But I mean, their stuff's decent. Don't get me wrong, but man, it's just hard to compete with Texas.
Those Oklahoma guys are going to be on the podcast. What the hell is he? We got the best roads.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll be getting some DMs later over that probably.
But yeah. So, and the crazy thing, now the Nova you were racing back then, that's the Nova you still have now that you're in little gangsters and all that, correct?
Yep, same car. So my dad bought it for me when I was 17 years old. The butcher at the local grocery store in the hometown I grew up in, he raced super stock, and this car was actually his son's car, and it was under the carport at his house, and he was selling the property, and I saw him at the gas station one day, and he told me, he's like, man, you want to go buy that car? He's like, I'll take $500 for it. And me and my dad went over there and rolled up. Man, I have a picture of it still to this day, and it was sitting under a carport up on Haydock blocks, and just primer gray, didn't really have a lot of interior, had a little like 6-point mild steel cage, and had like a stock 350 in it and a turbo 350 and stuff like that. But man, we drug it home and got it running, and I drove it around and raced it like that for a little while, and I wanted
ain't got to be no
Camaro.
show car to go fast.
Yeah, I mean, like I was young, like I said, I was 16 or 17. I just wanted something that sounded good to drive around town, and
Yeah.
Over the years, it's just constantly evolved and evolved. And I always kind of told myself, I was like, man, I don't ever want to cut it up, and I got close a couple times and did some dumb shit. Like I cut the trunk pan out of it at one time when I was, back for a while. I ran Ultra Street, and we were like trying to get down to weight, and I cut the trunk pan out and some dumb shit like that. And I put all that back in since then. But I didn't want it to be like a race car, I wanted it to kind of be street car, full interior, all steel, all glass. Like that's just what I liked, And so I see so many guys that went down the same rabbit hole I did, and they cut their car all up, and they always would tell me, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. So yeah, I'm lucky. I've still had it. I think I'd have to go back and look, but this year or next year, it'll be 20 years that I've had it.
So. Dang. Trust me, I got one that I went full race car with, and I regretted it every day.
Yeah, man, I hear
that
all the time.
Sold it and sent it up the road.
I hear it all the time, and it's like, man, I always told myself, I was like, I won't do that. Like, I'll start with another car, before I do that. So, and I don't know, like, I kind of get attached to these things. My dad's, the 69 Camaro that my dad has, that we street raced, he's had it since 1984. So he's had it like 40 years, and I don't know. I've never been the guy that buys and sells them. I mean, I buy and sell cars all the time, but if I find one that I like and I want to keep it, like I usually keep it. I don't like getting rid of stuff.
Now, how many of these race street cars do you still have? I mean, because I like I said, you had the truck. I know you got the Nova. You got the Malibu.
Man, so you promise not to judge me?
No.
I got 5 right now. So one of them's for sale.
At this point.
One of them's for sale, so that don't count. I got a 79 Camaro big tire car that I bought like from a family friend. It's for sale right now, but I got that. I got the Malibu that came from over in North Carolina, your side of town. So I got that car. I still got my S10. I've got the Nova that I've always had, and then man, not a lot of people know, but I actually bought another car that came from your side of the world that I'm kind of slowly turning into a like a small tire no prep car, and
Oh, okay.
man, I've had it for about 2 years now, and I've lost the interest on it a couple times, but I still got it, and I got a bunch of parts for it. So I don't know. I might sell it. I might keep it. I haven't really fully committed on that deal yet, but I've been working on it for a while. If I ever finish it, it'll be a really nice car. Um, but I don't know, man. Honestly, right now I'm having fun with all this little gangster stuff, and it pays
Yeah,
so well.
yeah.
Like, kind of
It's.
don't make sense to do anything else right now to me.
That's what I seen. Poland on his post was adding up like how much Little Gangsters is paid, and then counting like Little Gangsters. If you actually toured it pretty much across the country, where it's starting like in Far area and y'all's area and stuff, you could cash in over $100,000 this year
Oh,
winning
dude,
Little
it's
Gangsters.
crazy. I mean, like, we ran an XRP Saturday night, which is an hour from my house, probably my home track, and we ran for $11,100,
Shit,
and
that's
and
more
there
than
was
most small time
30,
spots.
yeah, like there was 38 cars, and it's like, man, don't get me wrong, I love going fast, but it's like I see these small tire guys, they had anything on 28s, and I think it paid 4,500 bucks or whatever, and I just see these guys over here, beating the shit out of all their stuff,
Yeah,
and I'm like, man, we're running for 3 times the money, and like we ain't even breaking a sweat. Um, so I mean, I like index racing. Don't get me wrong. I would rather heads up race, but right now, little gangsters make sense.
yeah,
So
and that's something I think going back to the race chase, how a lot of people they never have 530 index over here.
right, right.
And seeing that, I think it's going to rejuvenate a lot of cars coming back out. And even a lot of the bracket guys I've talked to, like, hey, when are y'all doing that again? We're going to get small
Oh
tires
yeah,
and do that.
yeah, yeah. It's man, it's cool because it's a very different mix of cars. Like we did it a couple weeks ago at my no prep race, and we had 34, 38 cars, something like that, and they did it, again last weekend, and it's like if you look at them, it's like, man, there was probably half the field was a different group of cars than what was at my no prep race. So, and I like racing different people and meeting different people. So
Yeah, I'm the
that
same way.
part of it's really cool.
And like when I came down with Houston, then for small tire gangsters, I mean, what was it, 76 in the
Live.
class?
Corey Stamper's podcast, Spoold Media.
But
That's
yeah, we had.
autofocus DFW, in case anybody doesn't know.
How you doing? Hey, she's gonna be YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast famous now.
Hey, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Okay. Yep. Yep. Come see yourself.
but, but we had what was it, 76? I think I want to say, or 72 or 76, somewhere in that range. At
72 at Small Tire Gangsters. Yeah.
72. Okay, 70. I mean, 72 cars for a 530 index. It blew my mind. I was like, I'm sitting there filming. I'm determining like what I'm going to shoot, and I'm like, oh, we got 70 some cars. I'm like, that's East Coast small tire numbers. Wait a
Yeah.
minute, what?
Oh, bro. Yeah, that was crazy. It was kind of funny because I used to work with this guy who's like a big time bracket racer, and I like giving people shit and cutting up, and uh, he made a comment on some post on Facebook like 10 years ago, and it said some shit about like you'll never win a race that fucking pays 20 grand and you never have to go 7 fucking rounds to win and all this shit. And then Little Gangsters paid 20 grand and had to go 7 rounds to win. And I was like, oh man, I wanted to talk shit so bad to that guy. And I haven't talked to him in years. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But no, man, I mean, yeah, 72 cars. Like, that's fucking badass. Like,
Yeah,
that's fucking
I mean
cool.
that's what the sport needs, in my opinion. They need classes like that because we need to
Oh,
keep it
yeah.
built up like that. So,
Yeah.
but I
And,
mean,
I don't
you got
know. I don't know like what Poland and them can do to keep it fresh, because I mean, you know how it is. Eventually, everything comes and goes, But
yeah,
if they could probably do some kind of little deal just to keep that fresh, and like the other night at XRP, um, they did the payout. It was going to pay to semis, and we got down to 5 cars, and he come by me and he's like, "Hollis, what do you think?" He's like, "I thought there was going to be 2 cars in the semis, but there's only one." He's like, but I accounted for $2,000 to the semis. And I was like, well, I said, pay the, 1,000 to the semis guys and take that other 1,000. I said, you only got 2
Yeah.
quarterfinalists. I said, take that and, give them 500 apiece. And
Yeah.
I think, if you keep the money spread out a little bit and, at least pay semis at every race, man, I think it'll keep it fresh and keep people coming back. So
That's always been my thing as a promoter. Just pay at least to the semis.
yep.
And then if it's a crazy car count and you got the money, pay to the quarters too. I
Right.
mean,
Oh,
at least quarters
100%.
get their give them their entry fee back, something
Right.
like that. I mean,
100%.
it's just something awesome for them.
Man, I tell people, I tell people all the time, it's like nobody's really making money at this stuff, right? Like,
No,
I mean, really, if you look at it across the board, ain't really nobody making money. But I tell people if I can go to the track and win enough money to pay for my night, dude, I don't care if I went out in the quarters. Like, I won. To me, that's a win. So yeah, I'm big on paying back. Like, if you can pay to the semis, you got enough money to pay to the quarters. Like, and I split a lot. Also, like, and I never split even, but if I make it to the finals of some race that's winner take all, like, I always ask. I don't care if they say yes or no, but
mm,
I always ask, hey, you want to chop it up? And the way I kind of look at that is like, man, even if it's only $500 or whatever, if that'll get that dude to the track next weekend, man, like, that's good for the
exactly.
sport. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah,
the way I try to look at it. I've run across some guys over the years that don't want to split, and hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, do whatever you want to do. But that's the way I try to look at it. Like, if it'll help that person get to the track one extra weekend, hey, I'm all for it.
yeah. That's what I'm the same way. Even when I was racing big cars, even now running the RC cars, like we don't split even. Like we're running for
Right.
something, whether it be $1 or $20 more.
Yep.
I don't
Yep. I
care.
tell people that all the time. Like,
Like I said,
I wouldn't split even with my best friend. Like, we're running for $20 or something.
but I mean, that's a hey, y'all got Whataburger. You got to have Whataburger money.
Oh yeah. Oh, we got Wahlburger, bro. We got
Hey,
Wahlburger. I'm gonna bring you some next time. Next year when I come to Shady Side, I'm
uh,
bringing you some.
we got them in South Carolina now,
Oh,
and they're
y'all do?
doing one.
No
There's
shit.
one now. I want to say it's 30 minutes from Shady Side.
No shit.
Yeah, they just opened it.
Look at
It's on the
that.
South Carolina side, and they're getting ready to build. I know somebody told me another one, which it's like 45 minutes away. It's on my way home
Oh
from
yeah.
Shady Side. That's
Hey,
on the North
bro.
Carolina side. So,
When I left Shady Side, I stopped at Bojangles.
uh,
Bro, Bojangles pretty fucking legit. I ain't gonna
I
lie. And they
was,
just
I was,
opened one up over here by my house too. Hey, that shit
I
pretty
was
good,
literally just getting ready to ask you. All right, just
bro.
to divert a
Fuck
little
you,
bit from the racing,
Bojangles.
just throw a monkey wrench in. Bojangles or Raising Canes?
Uh, Man, I've only had Bojangles once, but I don't know, hard comparison, but I mean, they're both pretty fucking good. They're both pretty good. I'm kind of a Golden Chick guy, to be honest. Like, y'all got Golden Chick
See,
over there?
I've never even heard of that.
Man, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Golden Chick's pretty legit. When you
Oh,
if
dude.
you come to Yellow Belly next year, I'll take you.
All right,
We go to
we're
Golden
planning on
Chick.
making the trip again. So,
Fuck yeah.
I mean, they had me sold at Whataburger. We literally, what was it? We ate at Whataburger. The only meals I had down there really was Whataburger and the taco lady at the track.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, two pretty good ones. Can't really go wrong either way there.
And what was it? Limpy told me, you don't get the tacos, get the quesadilla. Trust me. I'm like, I'm gonna trust you on this one.
Yeah, you got to trust Limpy. Got to
and
trust
and
Limpy.
I, and I also say that lady had her stuff together. I've never been ordered track food and got a pager for when my food's ready. Like, yeah,
Dude,
pager. I'm
yeah,
gonna back over and start watching racing.
oh, dude, no, she's badass, and it's funny because it's like, man, I know people that just go to Yellow Belly just for her food. You know what I mean? Like, don't even care about going to race or whatever. But no, she does really good. That's a staple of Yellow Belly drag strip for sure.
So can I get back? Well, we'll get back on for racing for a few. So,
Yep, yep, let's do it.
all right. So I'm gonna drop a question on you, and this one's
Go
probably gonna
for
be
it.
tough. So, what is your favorite track that you've raced at in Texas?
In Texas,
Mm-hmm. Your home state. What's your favorite home state track?
man, I like all of them to be honest. Like, I had a bunch of memories from North Star Dragway. It's closed now,
Mm-hmm.
but I had a bunch of memories there. Like my first 4 second pass. Um, I don't know. North Star was just home for me. You know what I mean? Like, first place we ever promoted races, kind of where me and Barrett got our start. First place Barrett ever announced that. First 4 second pass for me. Uh, First place I ever ran a big car at. I was there opening day. I won the junior dragster class there the opening day when they opened in 1996. So, I mean, man, for me, it'd probably have to be. I mean, we also had another local track, Texas Raceway. Um, Texas Raceway was awesome, also. But man, I don't know. That's hard. I mean, I like all the tracks because they're all something different. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I like
I can
Yellow
understand
Belly
that.
for the fact of it's very outlaw, very different, very challenging to race at Yellow Belly. Um, and I've won more money at Yellow Belly by far than I have anywhere else. So, man, I don't know. I can't really answer that. I like everywhere, but for different reasons. So
See, I think
I
it's cool
can't.
you said North Star too, because I didn't know that much about North Star. All I knew about North Star is how gangster the radio game was down
Right? Yeah, dude. It
there.
was
And
like game changer.
so, like when we were really going heavy with it at Shady Side, that's when North Star came around. That's when, like, I would say that was the best days of radio racing,
Oh
honestly,
yeah.
because we were all competing back and forth for the
Oh,
315. Well,
100%.
we were first to the 4.0s, then you had 390s here, then this, and
Yep.
it was just that was the radio heyday in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So,
No, 100%. Um, at one time, like you said, Stevie Fast on 375 there, like that was a huge
mhm.
deal. Um,
Oh, I still got the shirt and I still wear it with the I think it was the Pro Mod Camaro that he was running
yep,
the
the orange
first of
one.
the 370s.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, first of the 370s. Yep. So man, I don't know. That's tough. Like, I like everywhere for different reasons. Like Texas Raceway was really cool. It was a small track. Like it kind of had some shady side vibes to it. You know what I mean? Um, and that was kind of like where I first started heads up racing. Um, and it was just, man, it was just a cool place. They would do a Friday night deal, and they would do something different every Friday night. So, uh, like I think they first Friday night of the month was just Fun and Grudge, and then second Friday night of the month they had Outlaw Pro Mods. Uh, Third Friday night of the month they had Texas True 10-5, which they had a couple different small tire classes, and then the last Friday of every month they ran Texas King of the Hill, which was like Outlaw 10-5. And it was always on Friday nights. So man, Texas Raceway was cool back in the day too, but I don't know. I can't really pick a favorite, man. Can't do it.
I mean,
I like all of them.
it's cool to have a lot of favorites instead of. I mean, one favorite's cool, but having a lot, knowing you've got that many cool tracks you can go to. I mean,
Oh yeah.
there's, there's some areas that don't. I mean, I'm blessed. Like I can go 2 hours to 4 hours, and I've got tracks all around me.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I can kind of agree with you. I like every single one of them for different reasons.
Yes. 100%. 100%. And
So,
I try to support everybody too. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I love drag racing, and it's like, man, I know all these tracks have to make money. So
mhm,
I try to kind of go spread it out and go everywhere. Even if it's just once a year or whatever. It's like, man, just go show up and support. Try to get some people to go with you, spend a little money. Like, just keep. I don't want anywhere to close. You know what I mean? Even if it's somewhere
yeah.
I don't go all the time. Like, I want to keep everybody in business. Like, I want to see the sport continue to grow. So I try to go support if I can, for sure.
Okay, so something that I didn't see a lot, like didn't get a whole lot of talk, but I seen your dad and into is kind of the drag and drive scene too. Also,
Yeah, man, that's I don't know. If anybody that knows me knows I like a bunch of different stuff. So
mm-hmm.
growing up, like I always wanted a street car I could drive anywhere. And my Nova kind of had that, when I was in high school and stuff. But I didn't drive it a whole lot. Like I didn't ever drive it to the racetrack, or I didn't ever, drive it for, I drive it around town and stuff like that. But I never drove it like a long distance. And kind of going back, how I kind of got into all that stuff was going back to the COVID deal. When the tracks closed
Mm-hmm.
down, street racing got really hot around here, and I wanted something that I could literally hop in and drive, out to the street races or whatever. And so I built my little S10, put a 408 cubic inch LS motor in it, and I got it running on my birthday in 2020, I believe. And man, I literally got it running on a Friday night, and Saturday morning I hopped in it, drove it to the gas station, topped it off with 93, and I drove it 70 miles to the racetrack at Texas Motorplex. And I just, man, I don't know, I just enjoy driving it. And
Yeah,
uh,
oh, I'm the same man.
like got into, we have a local drag and drive deal in Oklahoma. It's called King of the Open Road. And anybody that knows me knows I like to race every single weekend if I can. Like I don't have any other hobbies. So uh couple years back, I was kind of looking for something to do, on a weekend. We didn't have no races here. And I saw this deal in Oklahoma, and it was like, drive 300 miles on Saturday and then race on Sunday. And I was like, huh. I was like, well, let's try that, and me and my dad loaded up the S10, and I threw like a little box of parts in the bed and some jack stands and stuff like that. And went 315 miles on Saturday and qualified Saturday night and then ran the race on Sunday and ended up winning. And man, I've been hooked ever since, and that's honestly what I bought the Malibu for. Like, I'm signed up to do Rocky Mountain Race Week next month.
Uh-oh.
So you can't really see it, but I got a little bullshit drag and drive trailer back there that I'm working on. So I gotta get off my ass and finish that thing. But no, I don't know. It's just something different. You know what I mean? Like, the radial stuff and index stuff is cool, but man, I like to do different stuff. So
Yeah.
it
And going back to how you're saying, like my Mustang, it was a 93 octane car. I drove it from the house to Shayside on drag radials, air them down, go run some 630, 640s,
oh yeah,
put air back in the tires, drive home.
yeah,
That's enjoyable. That's what I like.
dude,
And
100%, 100%, and it's cheap. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like, cheap and easy. I'm a big Wes Buck fan, and I listen to all his podcasts and stuff, and I think he says it best. He says, drag racing's about the people, right? And
yeah,
it's funny because like people ask me, they're like, man, how can you have fun in your S10 or your Malibu running 7.0s when you got this Nova that'll run 490s, 5.0s? And I'm like, well, the Nova's more fun from the burnout box to the return road. You know what I mean?
hmm
Going down the track, yeah, it's more fun. Everything else fucking sucks. You got to work on it. It costs more fucking money. Um, and it's like, man, my Malibu just, sitting here, and it's like, if I want to go to the track and hang out with my buddies, like you said, hop in it. I stop at Quick Trip, put 93 in it, drive it to the track, race all night, drive it home. And it's cost $100. Um, so yeah, it's a different kind of fun, you know what I mean? But it's definitely more enjoyable. But it's just something to get to the track and race and have fun, and it's less serious, less
yeah.
serious, less expensive. Like, there's a place for it.
Like I always said, I told everybody, I said the most fun I ever had with cars was when we were mid 6, 7 second cars. Go anywhere in the world with them. Take them to
Yep.
cruisins.
Yep.
We've got Pigeon Forge Rod Run. We take them always down there, BS down there with them, and then you can go to the track and rip off some good passes, drive it
Oh
home.
yeah.
I mean, that's I think I don't know, and that's like going back with little gangsters. I know y'all do Cheap Street, and I've got Street Racer out here and all that. I said that kind of gives those guys a place, and
Oh,
you
100%.
don't have to be the fastest to go. You don't have to have the fastest car in the world to go out here and enjoy drag racing.
Right. 100%. And it's like, man, you know, I wish there was something like that when I was younger, because there wasn't. Like, entry
Mm,
level heads up to me at the time was Tex 275, which is basically Ultra Street. And
mm-hmm.
man, I worked for years and years and years to get my Nova fast enough to run that. And I mean, I spent all this money, and I don't have any regrets. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I wish there was a stepping stone to go from like my 60 620 street racing days to Tex 275, and there really
Mm-hmm.
wasn't at the time. And like you said, there's a place for those guys. Like, they got to have somewhere to race. And it's, once again, it goes back to building the sport. I got a guy right now that runs Cheap Street with me, and I was talking to him today, and he's building an LDR car. And then I'm like, "Are you fucking serious?" I was like, "Bro, I,
That's a
I
step
had no
up.
idea." And he's like, "Oh yeah, like, I'm building the '69 Camaro or whatever. It's at Lafitte Fabrication in East Texas." And I'm like, "Damn, that's fucking badass." But yeah, I don't know. It's, man, there's a place for all that, and I'm a pretty firm believer that it helps grow the sport. Like, just like the guys that run Cheap Street and your 630 deal. It's like, man, who knows where those guys will end up?
Yeah, I mean it's a great like because even when I started, we did the streetcar shootouts, and I got a 630, 640, pretty much daily drive or whatever, and I'm
Right.
in the same class as a 520, 490 car. I'm like,
Yep. Yep.
this is a bad decision, and that's what
Yeah,
like I stepped up and I started writing the rules. I was like, we got to have something else, guys.
yeah, and man, like, racing needs more people like you, right? That'll do that kind of stuff. Because how many guys that were in your position could have just threw in the towel and called it quits?
Yeah,
And it's like, man, that's not good for anybody.
like, and the sucky part was like I'm a firm believer if I'm writing the rules, I don't race. So I had to give up
Right.
racing, but that
Right.
opened the doors to I got some more classes going, and then I started with the media harder. It was just
Yeah.
it was kind of like I gave up one thing, but it really came out better in a sense. But
Right. Oh yeah.
it
Yeah.
helped get guys more races and all that stuff. So
I race in Cheap Street, but Barrett won't let me fucking race in Radial Roundup or Doomsday or anything else we do. But it's funny because like all the gamblers give me shit on Cheap Street night, and I tell them I'm like, man, don't fucking bet on me on Cheap Street night, and they don't understand it. They're like, man, why not? And I'm like, bro, I was like, I got to pair everybody up in the stage lanes, do chip draw, do driver's meeting. I said I'm sitting in my car 2 pairs back with a fucking notepad writing down who wins and loses. I was like, I'm not fucking focused. Like, I'm just here
no,
fucking donating, bro. I was like, yeah, every once in a
I'm
while I
keeping
get
the
lucky and
class
I do
alive.
good,
That's all I'm
but
doing.
yeah, it's like, man, I'm like, it's very hard to do both, guys. Like, I don't understand it. But I don't know. I wouldn't change it for nothing.
So, what made you want to become a promoter in a sense and put on races?
Man, I'll be honest, I didn't really want to. It was so Gene Nicodemus that owned North Star, he was mixing our glue because we had a Street Outlaws deal coming up, and we were all testing on the street, and this was when radial stuff was real big at North Star, you know. And Gene told me, he's like, man, I can make y'all some fucking glue that's badass, and I'm like, cool, you know, let's try it. And he gave me a gallon, and he told me, he's like, man, let me come out with y'all and go testing one night. And so we went testing at the spot right by my house. And Chris White, white boy, I'm sure you have the black Datsun.
Mm-hmm.
So we're testing, and dude, he makes a pass, and here comes fucking cops, and dude, fucking cops pull him over and take him to jail, and they try to
Ooh,
impound his
shit.
car. They tell us they're like, we're gonna give y'all 1 hour to get his truck and trailer out of here, but they wouldn't let us get the keys, you know. So like that was a big fiasco. And Gene's, you know, track owner over here, and he's like, man, this is fucking crazy. He's like, they just took this dude's car and took him to jail for fucking testing. And we're like, yeah, that's kind of part of it, you know. And he said,
No.
and this was on a Wednesday night, I think. And we were filming like Friday night. And Gene said, man, why don't y'all come to the track tomorrow night? He said, I got a track rental. He said, why don't y'all come to North Star tomorrow night and I'll let y'all test in the shutdown area for free. Just, you know, keep y'all out of trouble. And I'm like, okay, cool. So me and Ronnie Pace and like little group of us went out there and tested, and we're just kind of all out there hanging out, you know. And I had known Gene a little bit just from racing at the track, and Gene kind of cornered me and Barrett, and he's like, man, would you guys help me put on a no prep race? He's like, I don't know who else to ask, but you guys know all these street racers and this and that. And I was like, well, man, you let us come test, you know, like, yeah, I'll try to help you out, you know. So we, you know, he got me some flyers and we talked about classes and rules, and I'm just like sharing flyers and tagging my friends, you know. And he calls me like a week before the race, and he's like, man, he's like, this deal's getting some traction. He's like, you're gonna make some money. And I'm like, wait, we're getting paid? I was like, we're getting paid to do this? I was like, I had no fucking idea, you know. And I'm like calling Barrett. I'm like, man, we might get like we're gonna get a little money out of this deal apparently. And so in which we didn't, you know, we've never really done it for the money, but
Yeah.
yeah, like we put on the race, and I don't know, we just kind of fell into it, you know. Barrett ended up announcing that was the first race Barrett ever announced that, and you know, we got done, and Gene gave us a little bit of money, and we were happy, and everybody was happy. And Gene's like, when do y'all want to do another one? And I'm like, fuck, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, I guess. I don't know, you know. So it just kind of happened, man. I mean, it was never planned. It was never really something I wanted to do. Just kind of something that fell in our lap, and we both enjoyed it. Me and Barrett both enjoyed it, you know. And Goldie enjoys it too, even though she yells at us sometimes. Like, I know she likes it, and you know, it just, I don't know, stuff happens for a reason, I think, you know. And it's just, that was fucking 9 years ago, and we just kind of ran with it.
Yeah, I
So
mean, y'all are getting ready. I mean, y'all are getting ready to come up, and it's not just you went the one like you didn't go the one route. Just I'm just doing no preps. Y'all do radial events. Y'all do everything.
yeah, you know, it started just no prep, and we did that for 2 3 years. And at the time, back in like 2015 to 2018, man, no prep around here just got saturated. You know, like there was a no prep race every weekend somewhere, and me and Barrett have always tried to do something kind of different. And so we talked about it, and we had some guys that thought it'd be a good idea. Like, hey, let's do all the same classes, but let's, well, eventually it actually started as Texas Street Shootout. which was all our True Street stuff. And we prepped the track, and it was successful right off the bat, and so then we talked to like some of the small tire and big tire guys and said, hey, what if we prep the track for y'all? And they were all into it. So we did Doomsday Prepped, just kind of mixing it up. And then when North Star closed in 2020, there was no radial races in Dallas Fort Worth, and me and Barrett had kind of took a year off from COVID, and we're kind of sitting back looking, and we're like, what are we going to do, and Texas Radial Roundup was actually a race at North Star, and we just always liked the name, and there was none of that, and we were having to drive to Houston, which is 5 hours away to do any kind of racing, and we just kind of thought there was a market for it, so we took it and ran with it, and man, it's been good, like last race we had was we got rained out in April this year, so it got postponed in November. But the last race we had was April of 2023, and dude, we had like 270 cars. So,
dude, that's a gangster as hell for, especially radio racing, because, like you said, when you're talking about saturation, like we're feeling that hard on the East Coast right now.
right?
No
Oh
prep
yeah,
racing, and this past weekend I made my way back to like a radial. It was a grudge race, but it was radial. They had a radial shootout too,
right.
and I said, and me being me, all year doing no preps and stuff like that, I got my hey dudes on. I step on the track and see you later, shoot. I go back to the truck. I got to change shoes, guys. I was like, yeah, I've missed this.
I forgot about that. Forgot about that part. Yeah, and
Man,
what's kind of cool too is like, when we started doing like the radial stuff, like, man, we have some really loyal people that follow us. Like we got guys that I can call right now and they'd tell you, like I'm gonna come to every race Mikey and Barrett put on. Like I don't care what it is. So it was funny because when we started doing radial stuff, man, we brought a lot of no prep guys with us. And the first race, bro, we had so many fucking wheelies. Like these dudes didn't know what the fuck. I mean, we fucked some oil pans up. And
that's a media guy's dream right there.
oh, dude, I'm telling you, I mean. And but it was cool just to have that kind of support system of guys that are like, man, we want to support y'all. Like we bought some tires, we did this, we did that, and some of them liked it. Some of them did it one time and they never come back. But it's cool to kind of mix those together.
Yeah. And that's kind of like with what we're doing with like OG28s and stuff. We're trying to bridge that gap. I mean,
right?
Because I think there's a place to where, what was I saying? We did that. I said we're bringing the no prep guys onto more glue, and I said, and we're telling the radio guys you can't have that tire that you love so
Right.
much. You got to put this floppy back on.
Dude, when I'm not a slick guy just because I can't afford to fucking buy tires every 10 passes. I did that at one time. Like I remember in 2013 or whenever it was, I bought a set of brand new tires every other time I went to the racetrack, and I was just like, man, I'll never do that again. But I run Yellow Belly, and I've done some top end races and all that shit, and I've done it on radials. But dude, it was super cool to me when I came to Shady Side to see how good Ryan Mitchell did. Like, bro,
Yeah.
I had my fucking pom poms ready because Ryan Mitchell's just, this fucking no prep guy, little fucking 3/4 ton truck, 24-foot trailer, and he's just fucking stomping everybody. And dude, I thought that was cool as shit to see that. And like you said, against some really bad dudes, like you said, it bridged the gap and kind of brought both sides together. Like I thought that was awesome, man.
Yeah, I knew Ryan did some racing with that car back on radios, but I was like, I was curious to see, like, I think everybody that was left in when we got to Sunday that was on the no prep side was happy as could be because they knew it was about to be hot, greasy,
Right.
another mess.
Oh yeah.
Saturday night it was getting tight. It was like, oh shit,
yeah.
no, this ain't good.
No,
And
for sure.
it was cool. And we'll go back to that race, and that was the first real experience of little gangsters on the East Coast, honestly.
Right.
And probably when we got to semifinals, gangsters. Hell, you had Texas representatives, you had North Carolina representatives,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know that was the first. What they say? First time a turbo car's ever won. And I was like,
oh yeah.
oh shit, North Carolina.
Right.
So I was like, I know you're waiting for the revenge next year, but then we go into Sunday, and you're the one. Well, you come up and you're like, hey, what classes can we run? I'm like, we got 490 today. I'm in.
Oh, that was fucking bad,
And
bro.
so what is it? You got 14, 15, big tire, top sports spin, tube chassis, all out cars, and you look over and there's this little leaf spring, Nova, small tire, drag radial. And
Yeah,
that's what,
one of the dudes in the stage lanes told me, he's like, "Man, you're in the wrong lane. You're in the wrong class." And I was like, "No." I was like, "I'm just stupid." I was like, "I'm gonna fucking try it." I was like, "I'm probably fucking going out first round, but we're gonna try it."
I mean, and that's what, and what's crazy is that just shows like a lot of people, you're on radial, so you're on probably, I mean, it's not bad prep. I'd say it's bracket day, it's decent, it's nothing crazy, it's nothing a
Yeah, it
radial should
wasn't
be on.
horrible. It was just fucking hot, bro. Like
Yeah,
that was
hot
hot
and
that
humid.
day. Like it was pretty bad, and um, I wasn't. The prep wasn't really a big deal. I think it was the heat more than anything for us. Like
Mm-hmm.
and like we talked about this today. It's like, man, I'm not used to fucking racing in the daytime. Like Texas, we do not race during the day, and so that was hard for me, and only getting one or two test hits. It's like I'm a pretty firm believer. I've made a lot of passes in my car over the years, and I've got really good notes, but it's like, man, I need a couple hits to figure it out. And I got my two hits, and I was way the fuck off in left field, but I got lucky and did pretty good. So that was cool. But like I said, man, I was already there. It's like I like to race. Was I outgunned? Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, man, I wanted to show my support, and I was going to stay and watch either way. So, I mean, I didn't have nothing to lose.
Might as well give it a shot. You know, you had a
Yeah.
car that's close, it could run it no matter what.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is you're only the second small tire guy I think that's ever made to the finals in 490.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
The
God, I
Buff
forget his name.
brothers, the Buff brothers were all fucking pumped up about that. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, he took a picture with me in the winter circle. And I don't know if he ever did, but he's like, bro, I'm posting this on my fucking Facebook. He's like, I'm talking shit to all these small tire guys that don't ever fucking show up. He's like, because here you are, like you show up and go to the fucking finals your first race. He's like, that just goes to show it can be done. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, get the fucking guys out here to race.
Oh,
Like,
I've said it 100 times. Like some of these frontside no prep guys that are 50490, I'm like, get in on that. It's good money.
right. Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
for
it's not
sure.
like it's like, I don't know. They'll go and what was I told somebody? I said they'll go and they'll run these races where it's 100% payback and it's barely $1,500, $2,000. But I'm like,
Right,
you
right.
got 35, $4,000. Your car fits it. Go for it. Those
Yeah.
guys will welcome you with open arms.
Dude, I have a saying that I tell everybody, but it's like you can't win sitting at home on the couch, right? Like you can't, like
100%.
if you sit at home and don't go race, like you're definitely not going to win. And it goes back to it goes. I take that back to Small Tire Gangsters last year. Um, I wasn't going. I had no plans of going. Um, Friday, it's like I got off early on Friday. I'm self-employed, and I got off early on Friday, which never fucking happens. And it's like 1 or 2 o'clock, and I call my boy Brett Walker sitting over here, and like, man, you should fucking go. And my friends are bad influences on you, right? So called him, and I called Michael Whitson, the nerd, and they both told me the same thing. They said, man, why wouldn't you fucking go? They said, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I had no prep race in like 7, 8, 9 years, and I'd never taken my car to Yellow Belly. And they both told me the same thing. Like, man, what's the worst thing that happened? You go out there and you knock tires off first round and you lose. And I'm like, yeah, that could happen. Um, so I was like, man, fuck it, just go for it, and showed up at Yellow Belly, and I actually jumped in Cheap Street to get one test hit, and man, loosened the front end way up, loosened all the suspension up and jetted it down a little bit because I knew I only had to run 530, and I nearly made it all the way to the finish line, my first hit at Yellow Belly, and uh, lost first round of my test hit in Cheap Street, obviously, and then got lucky and won first round of Little Gangsters because it was on Friday night. And I called my shop guy, Yancey, Viscous Performance, called him on the way to the track Saturday and sent him some videos. And he told me what to change. And man, it was game on after that. But I tell people that I'm like, man, I wasn't even going, and just last minute. Sometimes you just got to go race. Whether you think you can win or not, just go race and see what happens.
I mean, what is that? I always tell everybody a bad day at the track is better than any good day
Oh
at
yeah,
work.
for
So,
sure, for sure. And I hate
I
to
mean,
lose. Like I fucking hate to lose. And dude, I'll be salty for about an hour. You know what I mean? But after that, like once I get over that first hour, it's like, man, I'm still having fun. You know?
So, hey, just everybody listen out there. If he looks like he's salty after losing, just hand him some Bojangles. He'll be all right.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That's the cheat
For
code.
real. For real. Somebody brings me some fucking Bojangles, game on. Put the happy face on.
So, like I said, you've been out the East Coast, hit some cars, and you finally got to come out rent at Shady Side. So,
Bucket list right there.
which surfaces are more gangster, the Carolina Shady Side surface or the Texas surfaces?
As far as like good or what?
Which do you think was more gangster?
Man, I mean,
I've
Yellow
had a lot of people that's
Belly.
been like, I don't know if I want to come out there. I'm like, come on, you got to hear it from these guys. We'll let.
No, man, I tell people all the time, like, I had more fun at Shady Side than I've had in a long time. And, bro, like, I told you this, but I remember being in middle school and, like, sitting in computer class and watching Outlaw 10-5 videos from Shady Side.
Mm,
Like, I mean, Shady Side just has history, you know? And it was funny because when I went in the tower, um, there's a picture. I don't remember if it's Steve Kirk Jr. or one of the old Outlaw 10-5 guys, but
yeah.
there's a picture of Shady Side. It's a 14 Camaro. I think it's blue. And
Mm,
bro, it's pulling like a big ass fucking wheelie. And like I remember watching that fucking video in middle school. And like, bro, I'm 36 years old now. Like that was a long fucking time ago. Um, so no, dude, like going to Shady Side. I mean, I've raced everywhere. I've raced in Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arizona, Indiana. Like, dude, I've raced all over the fucking country. And like, I had more fun anywhere else. And no, I'm super glad I went. Like I know me and you, like you said it earlier, but we'd talked for a long time, and you always try to get me to come to your races, and I always wanted to. I just never really made it happen. But man, like I'm telling you, next year I'm gonna try to bring 10 or 15 of the homies. Man, I've been telling everybody like you got to go
oh,
to Shady Side. You know.
I can't say nothing right yet on what it is, but trust me when I say if you got a little gangster car, King of the South next year is going to be something you want
Bro,
to be at.
I was talking to a guy at XRP last week, and he actually bought a gasser and from one of the
Oh,
Southeast Gasser guys, and he's like, man, I'm gonna go over to one of those races when I learn how to fucking drive this thing, and I told him, I'm like, bro, go to Shady Side. I was like, you will not
mm,
fucking regret going to Shady Side. It's just, man, it's a super cool place, and the owners, you know, the buffs, like I relate to them because they're young, they're our age, you know, like, and they care. You know what I mean? Like that's the
yes.
biggest thing. They fucking care, and that you don't see that all that often anymore, you know, and just everything from like how neat the track is. I thought it was super cool. Y'all got fucking golf carts shuttling fans to the bleachers,
Yeah.
bro. Who fucking does that? Nobody does that shit. Um, but no,
I'm
man,
telling
like
you
the
that
people were great. Like I had no bad experiences. Like it was fucking awesome. Like I
the
loved it.
plan for that
Can't wait
race
to
was
come back.
insane because we had the thought that it could be really something huge. So we need to do this, do this, do this. We had planned that out for weeks. And what's funny is like even at my no prep race, like we didn't have that, but like all of a sudden, come, hey, I need your golf cart. Can I go do it? Yeah, go ahead, go with it. Yeah, we'll do
Right,
it. Go,
right.
go take it back. Just bring it back. That's a long walk for me.
uh, no, it was man, it was awesome. I only have one complaint.
No.
Man, there was no Corvette on the sign out by the street.
Yeah.
But
Uh, they're still working on, I think, that, I
I got
believe.
verification on that. I was a little disappointed about that, but other than that, everything else was perfect.
You know what
But
the funny thing is? I was just down there this past weekend. I didn't pay attention to see if it was
oh
back up or
really?
not.
Yeah. I went and talked to the gate girls because I rode to the street on my scooter, just take some pictures of the signs and shit. And I stopped and I was kind of cutting up with the gate girls and I was like, I only got one complaint and this girl's like, oh God, here we go, you know, and I was like, where's the fucking Corvette? And she's like, well, we're repainting it, doing this and doing that. And I was like, okay. I was like, when I come back next year, that fucking thing better be up there. And
Oh,
they were all laughing, you know, but no, man,
that's
it was
iconic. I
Shady Side
mean,
was cool. Like I've told all my buddies, I'm like, if y'all are gonna go somewhere, like go to Shady Side.
and see, I was the same way you were with that. That's how I was when I went to Yellow Belly. Dude, I've
Right.
got picked all kinds of pictures in my phone of Yellow Belly. I was like, dude, you just can't like you get. I was telling people on Snap like you got to just come here and see this place.
Oh yeah,
I was
dude.
like,
Like,
the videos. You think it's gangster on videos? Come here in person. I mean,
oh yeah.
I almost got taken out by an El Camino on Friday night. Snot Rocket came at me. I'm sitting there like the zoomies are right in my face, and they're like, "You really filming from there?" I'm like, yeah, dude,
Yep.
this
Oh
place is
yeah.
crazy.
No, dude, Yellow Belly's wild. I remember I was talking to one of my dad's buddies the other day, and growing up, like my dad was a big bracket racer, so growing up, like we never went to Yellow Belly, like that's forbidden. And I remember when I was probably like 14 or 15 years old, I had some buddies that were older. They were like 16, 17 years old, and they were going to Yellow Belly one weekend, and I lied to my dad and told him I was like, oh, we're gonna go over here and do this shit, and we went to Yellow Belly. And one of my dad's friends was there that races motorcycles, and I just told the story the other day for the first time, but I told him I was like, man, you were there the first time I went to Yellow Belly. And I was like, I was trying so fucking hard for you not to see me because I was afraid of you telling my dad and shit. But no, everybody's got to experience Yellow Belly once, man. Like it's different, and I like different. So yeah, anybody you
I,
got to experience it.
I can only imagine the back in the day, as like crazy as the environment is now, like the back in the day of just that old school vibe and feel of how that place used to be.
Yeah, man, I've heard some really cool stories. When you come down next year, you ought to sit down and do an interview with Ronnie Barnes. He's been going there since I think 1976, and he works there and stuff, but he loves Yellow Belly, bro, and he's there all the time, and he knows a lot of the history on it. That Stapleton 42 guy did like an hour long video with him, and they rode around the track and like talked about a bunch of stuff. But it'd be worth you sitting down and talking to him just to get some history on it. Like he's an
Oh, I'd
encyclopedia from Yellow Belly Drag Strip. Trust me.
I'd I'd love it because I love the old stories. I love the things like that. That's like sitting here talking. We're talking about the old 1320 Cash Days DVD days,
Oh
man.
yeah,
I can eat
dude.
that shit
Like
up. I love that shit.
I know, man. It's like, man, it makes me feel old. You know what I mean? But I mean, we lived that shit. Like I don't know when you started going to Shady Side, but um, growing up, like I said, growing up, bro, watching the videos from Huntsville and Shady
Mhm.
Side, and then we had Texas King of the Hill. Like that was our Outlaw 10-5 stuff. But it was like, man, growing up, like I said, I was young. I was 12, 13 years old, and it's like, man, I wanted to be like all those guys. And I don't know, like hopefully there's some kid out there that wants to be like us when they grow up. Like where the sport
Mhm.
can continue to grow and like that'll be the next generation. But
And what's funny is you say that is like my very first trip to Shady Side ever was the day I put a race on there. Like
oh,
I'd
no
never
shit.
been there, and that was in
Really?
2000, it's 2012 or 2013.
No
Like the Buff
shit.
brothers that came to another track I was at
Yeah.
that I was having issues with said, "Hey, why don't you come down here and do a race with us?" And me
No
being like, I
shit.
was hot on mad. Yeah, yeah, let's get that scheduled. Let's do this. And I'm thinking, I've
Uh,
never been to this place. And then I started watching more videos of it, and I was like, I always wanted to go because I used to do import racing down there, and that's when I was doing the front wheel drive stuff. And I was like, never
yeah.
got to make it, but I went there, and that's when they still had the turn in the shutdown.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
dude, it's one of those where the hell am I
Right. Right.
type feelings.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the
No,
next day
it's
we started writing radio history. So
man, it's like you said though, like it's cool, just to see the history of these places and how they evolve. Um, bro, another thing that I thought was fucking cool at Shady Side, y'all had a fucking porta shitter and an ice chest at the very last fucking turn off for all these people when they fucking come off the track if they waiting on their crew, bro. Come on, that's fucking genius. Like that is genius.
oh, that was something like it was always a staple. Like it was something because we've always believed in racing in the daytime. The heat, well, it's going to be warm. The racers,
Oh
hey, keep
yeah,
some water up there for them. Do something simple
right.
like that. Like
Yeah, and
that's
it's
little stuff
easy, bro.
any
Like
track can do.
And it's like you said, it's easy. I mean, what's two cases of water? $10 fucking. Some ice, spend 20
Yeah.
bucks. But it's like, bro. I mean, that's something I remember. You know what I mean? Like, that's. I feel like a lot of people miss that. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like you ain't got to spend $1,000 to do something for the racers. Like literally something small like that. That dude. I mean, somebody like. I mean, I appreciate stuff like that. You know. So no,
That's
y'all
that's
y'all killed it, man.
that's something I've always like. It doesn't have to be a world class facility, but treat the racers like they're world
Oh,
class.
100%. And dude, I've been to a lot of places, and like that's one reason I like to work the staging lanes at Radio Roundup because I like to talk to all the racers, and just tell them,
Me
hey,
too.
hope you're having a good time. Like, thank you for coming. And man, this day and age, like racing is fucking expensive. I mean, let's be honest,
Mhm.
it is expensive, and people have a lot of options. They can go spend their money anywhere, right? So I tell people it's like anywhere that I can go and feel appreciated, man, I'm going back. Like that's simple, you know.
Yeah, that's something like I've always even some people say, "Oh, you've got track crew, you got this. You don't have to do this. You just sit back and do your thing." Well, I already got a film anyways, but I like going back there. I like talking to people. I like
Oh yeah,
seeing them, like making. There's some people that I've only just seen their name and seen a picture of them on Facebook, and they're finally
right,
at my track. I want to put, "Hey, how you doing, man?"
right.
That's
Oh yeah,
that's how I am, and that was like going to Yellow Belly for me. It was I've seen racers I've never seen before, people I've never talked to before. Just finally got to meet them, and that was part of the experience. That was cooler than the part of the experience than actually filming the race for me.
right. Oh, 100%. Well, because like we said, it goes back to it's about the people, right? Like
Yeah,
that's what it's about. And and like you said, we're all friends on Facebook, and it's like I see all these different people, and same deal with Shady Side. It's like there's a bunch of people there that I knew from Facebook that I never met, and I mean I bullshitted with Bill Lutz in the tower for 15 minutes, as we was getting paid on
yeah.
Sunday. And it's like, man, I've known that dude forever, watched him race, had no clue who he was, never talked to the guy, and where did I meet him? Shady Side Dragway of all places. So no, man, the little smaller tracks are cool. Um, they have more character, and it's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Like looking back at the pictures and stuff from Shady Side and Yellow Belly and stuff like that, it's like, man, it's a cool vibe to see. You pull up there and the bleachers are packed, and like it's a cool feeling.
So as we get ready to wrap this up, so we're going to end it on like one thing that we got to know, and I know everybody's going to want. This is going to be like one of the coolest things to hear the whole podcast.
Oh boy.
What is your wildest street racing story?
Wildest street racing story. Man, so it would probably be the cash day. I mean, I got a couple of them, but uh it would probably be the cash days. I told you the first cash days we ever brought my dad's car to. Um, like I said, we didn't know how fast the car would go. Turns out it would go like 540s, which back in 2008, like that was pretty fast for a car that you raced on the
Dude,
street. And,
yeah,
and I was young, bro. I was like 20 years old, and I'm driving this thing and tuning this thing. And first round, I run Cracker, dude from 405. We raced the Forum Way, beat him. Um, Second round, I run Daddy Dave in the Sonoma. That was back when the Sonoma had a blower on it, and we went to we went to the spot. I'm not gonna say the name of the road, but we went to the spot, and it was virgin concrete. We'd never raced there, and bro, I swear to God, there was a fucking telephone pole every 30 foot, and the telephone
damn.
poles were that far off the curb, And we pull up, and my dad's like, "What the fuck?" And we roll up, and it's me and Daddy Dave, and we pull up there, we do our fucking burnouts, and we go down through there, and bro, it was like the best fucking side by side race I've probably ever had, and we ended up beating him, and we were the only ones that ever got to race on that road. Cop showed up 5 minutes later, and we left there and went to another spot, and the last spot was I ran. We were down to the semis, and I had to run Andrade when he had the Malibu. And man, we this is the first tall deck motor that me and my dad had ever put together. Well, the distributor, I didn't know nothing about like a slip collar distributor, right? So the distributor was way down in the intake. Well, it had a dart intake, which has like a deep, distributor hole. So the distributor tie down, we didn't have crank trigger back then. Distributor tie down wasn't keeping the distributor tight. So when I run Dave at this other Virgin Road, the timing had moved back a little bit, didn't make as much power, which was probably fucking perfect. So we go to the next road. I run Andrade. I put some timing in it, and man, it fucking leaves, pulls this big ass fucking wheelie, like left so fucking good. Well, like I said, it was semis. Dude, it makes a fucking good hit, and like I've only driven the car, 3 passes. So I go down, I like shift it in high gear, and I run about what I think is eighth mile, and I'm like, man, the fucking cone's still a long ways away, and I'm like, I'm ahead, I'm not fucking lifting. So I run it to the cone, and let off. And by this time, this road we're on's got a lot of fucking trees, and I'm fucking hauling ass. And bro, I go to shut down, go through a fucking intersection and shit. And I'm like, man, that seemed like a long ass ways. And I got back to the trailer, and Limpy came up and somebody else, and they're like, man, did that seem like a long ways to you? And I was like, yes, it did. And they said, well, we put the cone at the wrong driveway. It's supposed to be at the third driveway, not the fourth driveway. And I said, well, how far was it? And they were like 1,140 foot or something. So
So you
I don't know
pretty
how
much
fast.
quarter-miled it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how fast I was going, but probably 150 or some shit like that. And so they got that figured out, and I was gonna have to run boosted in the finals, and Cop showed up and we split the pot. But man, that was a pretty good one. That one would be hard to beat. Like I said,
Yeah.
me and my dad got that thing running like Thursday. Went and tested Friday during the day, and showed up at cash days and make it to the finals. Like that one would be hard to beat.
Cool.
So,
Man, I like I said, I can listen to those stories all day, man. I love that
oh,
shit.
dude,
Well,
like I said, I hate to sound old, but it's like, man, that was the good old days. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it was different back then. I mean, big tire street racing back in that era. Man, it was just like Outlaw 10-5 was at Shady Side and Huntsville and all that. Like that was our good old days, in my opinion.
Awesome. Now,
So,
and before we close, I always ask, do you have any sponsors, anybody you want to thank for your race program, anything like that?
man, I've had a lot of people help me out, honestly. Like, uh, Oaks Performance would be a good one. Gary and Leah Oaks, they're some of my best friends. They do anything for me. Michael Reeves at Freak Show, he does my transmissions and my converters. Um, he's one of the best dudes I've ever met. Like, he'll do anything for me. Yancey Rodriguez at Viscous Performance does all my shocks. Um, I send that dude like $100 on Cash App randomly every time I win a race, because he fucking helps me. Like I said, going back to Yellow Belly, I've had dealings with some other places, and I met Yancey at a race, and he's a young dude, entrepreneur. Got his own business, and I met him at a race a couple years ago, and he said, "Man," he said, "give me a shot at doing the shocks on your car," and I agreed to it. And I was really struggling at the time, and I sent all my shocks to that guy. He revalved them for me, told me what to do, and man, we became friends. I'll just call it what it is. Like, we're buddies. But
Yeah.
the dude's really talented, and he's a young guy. He's like 26 years old, but he's fucking smart. And going back to like Small Tire Gangsters last year, bro, I made 2 hits Friday night, and I couldn't get my car to go 300 foot under power. And I don't like bothering people because I'm a business owner, and I don't like people fucking with me on the weekends. And I sent that dude a video on Saturday morning as I'm driving to the Yellow Belly, and he called me, and he's like, "What did you change and this and that?" And I told him exactly what I did, and he told me what change to make. And I always second guess him, and we talk shit about that. But I second guessed him, and I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Hey, am I your shot guy or not?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you are." He's like, "Do it." So I'm not gonna say what it was exactly because I don't want to give away all my secrets, but I did exactly what he told me, and I run Cody Hoffman's second round of Little Gangsters and fucking right down the track. So I'm a Yancey customer for life. You know, uh, so man, that's probably the big three. I got some other good guys, Jerry Gardner, which I don't know if you've ever heard Limpy talk about him, but him and Limpy were like pretty much best friends, and he was also one that he actually ran the website DFWSS. He's a super good dude. He does all my third members and stuff like that. So he helps me a lot. The boys at Nitrous Express, Poland, Raska, Tom, all them dudes. Um, a lot of people don't know, but I've had a Nitrous Express plate on my car since like 2014, and a lot of people didn't know that because when I run Ultra Street and stuff, man, we were really secretive. Like, there was a lot, and I'll tell a quick story on that. But I had another plate on my car, and I went to Tulsa to a race in Tulsa, and I went 508, and that was like the fastest I'd ever been. And I had a guy back home that had an NX plate, and he said, "Man, I swear this plate will pick your car up." And this was at the time, like, I was a little behind, and I'm like, "Man, I'll try anything." And literally, we went to Tulsa one weekend. I went 508. The next weekend, we show up at Denton, and I was driving another guy's car, and we run Friday, and we didn't, like, we were just struggling. And he told me, he's like, "Man, I'm gonna take the car home and figure this out." And I said, "Well, can I have your entry fee? Like, I'm gonna bring my car back. So Saturday morning, I got up and brought my car back to the race and put the NX plate on it and left everything else alone. Like everything, did not change anything. Didn't change shocks. Didn't change controller. Didn't change anything. And the first hit, it went 498. And that was my
Phew.
first 4-second pass. And I was like, man, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, all I did was bolt this plate on. If I could fix up a tenth. Um, so over the years, like, those dudes have helped me a lot. They helped me just a couple months ago on the Malibu. I really wanted to keep the stock hood on the Malibu, and the plate was going to make it where the carburetor hit the hood. So I actually called him I called Rascal like Thursday night, and I was like, hey, y'all got a Bridgeport at the shop, right? He's like, yeah. And I said, well, I need to mill my intake like half an inch. I was like, can you do that? And he's like, oh yeah, bring it up. So I brought it up there. They're only about an hour and a half from me, so I brought it up there, and he's like, what if we took a plate and like recessed it down into the intake? Be like give you like an inch of clearance. And I'm like, fuck yeah, sounds cool. So we did that, and now they're producing that, for customers and stuff. So
That's pretty cool.
man, they're really good dudes, and not only good at what they do, but they support racing. They're always at the
Yes.
racetrack.
Yes.
Like, and I'm big on that, man, because I love drag racing. Like, if it wasn't for racing, I don't know what the fuck I would do, bro. Like, I don't have any hobbies. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like,
if you're
other than
starting,
racing, I got like 2 friends other than racing. All my racing
that's
buddies, you know what I
it's the
mean? Like,
same
my
way
life
here.
would
Same
suck,
way here, man.
bro. It would
Like
suck if it
everybody
wasn't
I
for
know is
racing.
racing. Yeah.
So,
Like there's a couple of people I know outside of racing, but it's like I always tell people I knew people by their cars before I knew their faces, and then we became
oh,
friends and we're all
100%.
good.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I literally, like, I would have like 1 or 2 friends if it wasn't for racing. So, but no, that's man, that's the big ones. Like, they help me out a lot, and um, just it's funny because, like, man, growing up, I didn't have nothing. You know what I mean? And there's been so many good people that helped me along the way. Like, if we got time for a quick story, I'll tell you the first time I went to
Yeah,
Georgia to run X275. So
sure.
I was working at a
We can
fracking
squeeze a
company.
couple more minutes.
Yeah, a couple more minutes. I'll make this one quick.
You're
So
good. You're good.
I was working at a fracking company. I was building oil field equipment, and I made like $17 an hour. And I think I'm gonna run fucking X275. Like, how stupid is that? And my car would run, like, I think my car at the time would run 520s, and I bought a '99 Cavalier to drive back and forth to work because at this time, this was 2012, I think. Bro, diesel was like $4 a gallon. So I bought
Yeah.
a fucking '99 Cavalier to drive back and forth to work because it'd get 35 miles a gallon, bro. I paid $900 for this fucking thing, right? Well, me and all my buddies, we're gonna go to Georgia to Ducks race in October to watch, and got all this whole fucking thing figured out. Well, like 2 weeks before we leave, I get fucking T-boned driving home one day in this fucking Cavalier, bro, and uh, and it's funny because I had my kid in the back seat. He's like 2 years old at the time, and I just bought a set of drag radials, so I had one in the trunk and one in the back seat with him, and I'm fucking cruising in my Cavalier. We get fucking T-boned and spin around and all this shit. And my kid's like, do it again, do it again, and um, so I'm freaking out. So, like, get calmed down or whatever, and like about a week goes by, and Georgia's coming up, and insurance company calls me, and they're like, Mr. Hollis, we can give you $3,600 for that Cavalier. And I'm like, damn, where do I pick up that check? Uh, so they told me like where to go pick up the check, and I call my buddy Jim Brinkerhoff, which he's an ex pro mod guy. Used to race at the time. He had a pro mod '68 Camaro, had a big 5.3 rear Morrison deal, and he's helped me a ton over the years. And I call him on the way to pick up this check, and I told him, I said, when I get home from Georgia, I'm gonna buy a Volkswagen Jetta diesel because it'll get like 50 miles a gallon. And he goes, yeah. He said, or you could take that money and we could take your car to Georgia and run X275. And I'm like, fuck, you're right. I was like, let's do it. So, bro, we literally, my once again, bad adult decisions, but my dually needed injectors and tires, so I knew it didn't make it. So I borrowed Jim's truck and Jim's golf cart, put it on my open trailer, go to Georgia, and bro, like, we didn't even qualify. Like, I think I made it to the second chance race, but I went 5:10, fastest I'd ever been, and had the fucking time of our life. But
Yeah.
there's so many stories like that where people helped me along the way. And as I've gotten older, it's like I pass that down if I can. If somebody needs, an old set of tires I got or this or that, it's like, man, just take it. And everybody's like, you don't want no money for that? And I'm like, man, I've had a bunch of people help me. Like, if I can pay it forward, I'm gonna do it. And I encourage everybody else to do the same thing. Like, if you're in a position to help somebody out, if it's $20 part or $200 part or whatever, like, if it ain't gonna make or break you, man, help somebody out. Like, because at the end of the
Keep a
day, all
race
we're
on
doing is
track
growing
and
the
keep it
sport.
going.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. So,
I 100%
100%.
back that. I mean, there's somebody that ever needs something or anything, like, what was it? Even though RC, a guy needed a slipper clutch. I'm like,
Right,
dude, here, take it. Here, take it. He's
right,
like, oh, I don't need it. It's like, man, them things are like $5. Don't worry about that shit.
right. Yeah, yep.
Like,
And
just
like
keep
I said,
racing.
man,
Keep having fun.
and I think that stuff comes back around. You know what I mean? Like, the more I was talking to somebody about that the other day, it's like, man, the more giving I am and helpful I am, the more help I get.
Yeah.
So I definitely try to pay it forward when I can.
I'd rather be known as the guy in the pits, loves racing, all that stuff. There's that asshole.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't, man, that's kind of why I don't get into grudge racing. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be buddies with everybody. I'm more of a class racing kind of guy. Cause like, I don't want to go to the track and like anybody have any hard feelings towards me. You know what I mean? And I don't want to talk shit and all that. Like, that ain't really me. I'd rather just go, run a shootout or something like that. But, yeah, I definitely don't want nobody, walking by my trailer fucking talking bad about me. That's for sure.
Dude, I'm the
So,
same, man. I'm the same. But well, shoot, man, it's been good talking with you tonight. Maybe
for sure, bro. I appreciate
there's
you
gonna be
having
some
me on
people that
here.
will definitely bring back in for a second one. I guarantee we'll bring back for a second one. We'll do some more old street racing stories and
Hell
all
yeah,
that.
bro. I'm in. I'm in.
Maybe we'll get a
So,
panel of all the old street race guys and just have it all in one, and we'll just do something like that for a podcast.
man, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. I appreciate you having me on here, and bro, keep it
No
up,
problem,
man.
man.
I watch your stuff all the time, and you do a really good job at this stuff, and keep it up, bro, because we all appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, man. I
So,
appreciate you saying that. And
all right,
if
buddy.
anybody wants to check out anything of yours, where do they need to go? I did forget that
Man,
part. I'm still learning.
I'm not that good on I'm everybody just follow me on social media. Like Michael Hollis is my Facebook, Mikey Student Driver on Instagram. I started a YouTube channel. It's just Student Driver, but man, I give props to you guys because this shit takes a lot of fucking work, and I'm not that good on computers and shit, so I don't know if I have the patience for it. But I do have a couple little videos out there. I don't know, like if somebody would actually watch those for a change and might give me some motivation to finish up some more stuff. But nah, like if I ever find some time, I do want to give the YouTube thing a chance. But man, I stay really busy between work and my kids racing now and 5 fucking race cars and like I just stay busy. But I'm gonna give the YouTube thing a chance one of these days. So
Hey, I told somebody once, they were asking me like about it, and I used to have other jobs. I said, look, I used to have another job, and I said, this is way more full time than that ever
oh,
was.
bro, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I say the same thing about racing. It's like, man, like I come back and go to work on Monday to relax, because fucking
Yeah.
you work way harder at the racetrack than you do anywhere else.
Oh, 100%,
So,
man, 100%. But definitely good having you on, man. Like I said, we'll get you back on. We'll have some more stuff. We'll tell some more stories here later.
all right, man, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem, man. Thank you for
See
coming
you,
in,
bro.
man.